We promised we'd open the envelope at 30, no matter where life took us. Henley and I made the pact when we were 17, sitting on the hood of my dad's car after prom. We'd each written down our biggest secret, sealed them in matching envelopes, and swore we'd read them together on our 30th birthdays. No matter what, she'd said, even if we hate each other by then. I laughed because that seemed impossible. 10 years later, Henley stopped returning my calls. I'd see her tagged in photos at parties I wasn't invited to. Her wedding announcement came via mass email. I wasn't on the guest list. I tried reaching out, sent texts asking what I'd done wrong. Radio silence. My mom said to let it go. Some friendships just run their course. But I kept that envelope in my fireproof safe anyway. On my 29th birthday, I almost threw it away. Then I got a text from an unknown number. Don't forget, August 4th, our spot, 8 p.m. That was it. No name, but I knew. I showed up at the Overlook where we'd sealed the envelopes 13 years ago. My hands were shaking. Part of me expected her not to come. But at 8:03, headlights swept across the gravel lot. Henley stepped out looking exactly the same and completely different. Designer clothes where she used to wear thrift store finds. Hi, she said. Just hi. Like we'd seen each other yesterday. We sat on a picnic table, envelopes between us. The silence stretched so long I thought I might scream. Finally, Henley said, "You first." My envelope felt heavier than I remembered. I tore it open. Inside was a single sentence in my teenage handwriting. "I'm in love with you, and I always have been." My face went hot. I'd forgotten. Completely, genuinely forgotten what I'd written. Back then, I'd been so sure I'd moved past those feelings by 30 that it would be a funny memory we'd laugh about. "Well," Henley said quietly, "that explains some things. Your turn." I managed. She stared at her envelope for a full minute. When she finally opened it, she read it silently, then looked at me with an expression I couldn't decipher. "What does it say?" I asked. Henley stood up and walked to the edge of the Overlook. "I need to tell you something first. About why I disappeared." My stomach dropped. "Okay. You remember my cousin Brooke?" I nodded. "She died in a car accident our sophomore year of college." "She didn't die in an accident," Henley said. "She was murdered. And the night before she died, she told me she'd discovered something about someone in our friend group. Something dangerous. She wouldn't tell me who or what because she wanted to confirm it first." The air felt thick. "Henley, what?" "After she died, her apartment was ransacked. The police called it a robbery, but her laptop, her phone, her journals, all gone. Nothing else taken. I got scared. Really scared. Because she'd sent me an email the day she died. It bounced. Server error, whatever. But someone knew she'd tried to send it. How would they know that? Because 2 days later, someone broke into my apartment. They didn't take anything either. Just left a note on my bed that said, 'Stop looking.' I felt cold. You never told me any of this. I couldn't. I didn't know who to trust. So I just disappeared from everyone, changed my phone number, moved across the state, met someone new, and built a completely different life. For 10 years, she turned back to me, eyes wet. I thought I was safe. Then last month I got another note. Same handwriting. It said, "August 4th, keep your promise or everyone finds out." Finds out what? Henley held up her envelope. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely keep hold of it. This is what someone's been trying to keep secret for 13 years. This is why Brooke died. She handed me the paper. I read the words 3 times before they made sense. "I know who killed your brother, and I have proof. My brother had drowned when I was 16. Accidental, they'd said. But I looked at Henley, and suddenly every strange moment, every coincidence, every detail I'd pushed aside came rushing back. "Who?" I whispered. Henley's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and her face went white. She turned it toward me. A text from the unknown number. "Read it out loud or I will." That's when I heard footsteps behind us. Multiple people. And a voice I hadn't heard in years, someone I'd completely forgotten was even at that party 13 years ago, said, "Well, this is awkward." I turned around slowly. Trevor Millwood stood there with 2 other people I didn't recognize. But I remembered Trevor. He'd been part of our friend group in high school, the quiet one who always seemed to hover at the edges of conversations. He'd moved away for college and I'd genuinely forgotten he existed. "Trevor?" My voice cracked. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Surprise? I bet you're wondering how I got both of your numbers after all this time." Henley stepped closer to me. "What do you want?" "I want you to understand something." Trevor pulled out his phone. "I've been very patient. 13 years is a long time to wait for 2 stupid teenage girls to potentially ruin everything. You killed my brother." The words came out flat, emotionless, because saying them out loud made them real, and I wasn't ready for that. Not exactly. Trevor tapped his phone screen. "But I was there. See, your brother Ethan wasn't supposed to be at Miller's Lake that night. None of us were. It was supposed to be a small party. Just me, Brooke, and a few others." "Brooke was there?" Henley's voice shook. "Oh, she was definitely there. She's actually the one who invited your brother." He looked at me. "Did you know they were hooking up? Ethan and Brooke?" I felt like I'd been punched. "No, nobody did. They kept it secret because Brooke was dating that college guy, remember? The one with the trust fund. Anyway, Ethan showed up drunk that night. Really drunk. Started bragging about how Brooke was going to leave the rich guy for him, how they were in love." Trevor's companions shifted uncomfortably. One of them, a woman in her 30s with red hair, cleared her throat. "Trevor, we should—" "Shut up, Diana." He didn't even look at her. "They deserve to know the whole story since they've been so persistent about keeping this little appointment." The Overlook suddenly felt very small, very isolated. There was only one road in and out, and Trevor's truck was blocking it. "Ethan got belligerent," Trevor continued. "Started shoving people. Someone shoved back. He fell, hit his head on a rock. We all panicked. But here's the thing. He wasn't dead. Not yet. He He was bleeding, unconscious, but still breathing. My legs felt weak. Henley grabbed my arm to steady me. That's when Vaughn made the call. Trevor gestured to the man beside him, tall with graying temples. Vaughn's family owns half the county. His dad was running for state senate. A dead kid at an illegal party with drugs and alcohol? That would have destroyed everything. So you let him drown? I could barely get the words out. We carried him to the water, Trevor said matter-of-factly. Vaughn held him under for about 90 seconds. Made sure. Then we staged the scene to look like he'd been drinking alone, stumbled, fell in. The police bought it because Vaughn's dad had friends in the department. Case closed, tragic accident. Henley's grip on my arm tightened. But Brooke knew. Brooke participated. Trevor's voice turned sharp. She helped carry him. She watched. She was complicit. For 6 years, she lived with it. Then suddenly, she grew a conscience. Started talking about confessions, about not being able to sleep at night. She sent me an email saying she was going to the police. So you killed her too? Vaughn did. Made it look like a carjacking gone wrong. We took her electronics to make sure there was no evidence, but Brooke was smarter than we thought. She'd already reached out to Henley, tried to tell her. Henley's voice was barely a whisper. The bounced email. Right. But by the time we realized Brooke had tried to contact you, she was already dead. So we left you a warning, hoped you'd be smart enough to let it go. And you did. You disappeared. Changed your whole life. I thought we were safe. Until we weren't, Henley said. Trevor pulled out something from his jacket pocket. An old USB drive. Until 2 months ago when I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was this drive and a note that said, August 4th, the truth comes out or everyone dies. He held it up. This drive contains videos from that night. Brooke recorded everything on her phone, every single moment. She uploaded it to a cloud storage before she died, set it to automatically send to multiple recipients if she didn't enter a password every 30 days. When she died, the timer started. Vaughn and I have been tracking down every copy for 13 years. We thought we'd gotten them all. Diana spoke up again. Someone has the master file, someone who knows everything. And they used your little time capsule pact against us, Trevor said. They knew you'd both show up here tonight. They wanted us all in the same place. A new voice cut through the darkness. Took you long enough to figure it out. We all spun around. A figure emerged from the tree line. At first, I couldn't make out who it was in the dim light. Then they stepped into the glow from Trevor's truck headlights, and my entire world tilted. It was my mom. She looked different, harder. Her hair was shorter, and she wore clothes I'd never seen her in. Dark jeans, a leather jacket. Not the soft cardigans and floral prints she usually favored. Mom? My voice came out strangled. Hi, sweetheart. She didn't smile. Sorry to do it like this. But some things are worth waiting for. Trevor's face had gone white. Rachel? How did I get the videos? My mom pulled out her own phone. Brooke sent them to me before she died. She wanted insurance. She knew if something happened to her, I'd make sure the truth came out. See, Brooke was more than just Henley's cousin. She was my goddaughter. Her mom and I were best friends before she died. I felt like I was drowning. You've known for 13 years that they killed Ethan? Not at first. Mom's voice was steady, cold. When Brooke died, she'd already set up the automatic emails. I got the first one 3 weeks after her funeral. At first, I didn't believe it. Thought it was some sick joke. But I watched the videos, all 4 hours of them, and I saw my son murdered. Tears were streaming down my face. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed you safe. Trevor and his friends have connections, money, resources. If I'd gone to the police, the evidence would have disappeared. Vaughn's family would have made it go away just like they did before. So I waited. I gathered more evidence. I documented everything. Financial records, witness statements, phone logs. I built an airtight case. She turned to Trevor. I've been watching you for 13 years, waiting for you to make a mistake, and tonight you finally did. That's when I heard sirens in the distance. Trevor lunged toward his truck, but my mom pulled out a gun. Don't. Vaughn held up his hands. Rachel, be reasonable. We can make a deal. Name your price. My price? Mom's laugh was bitter. You killed my son. You took my child and you held him underwater while he fought for his life. There is no price for that. Diana started crying. I didn't know. I wasn't there that night. Trevor just told me. You helped cover it up, Mom said. You destroyed evidence. You threatened witnesses. You're just as guilty. The sirens were getting closer. Multiple vehicles from the sound of it. Trevor's face twisted with rage. You stupid bitch. Do you have any idea what you've done? Vaughn's family will destroy you. They'll destroy your daughter. You'll both end up in pieces. No, Mom's voice was calm. I won't. Because for the past 5 years, I've been working with the FBI. They're very interested in the Vaughn family's connection to judicial corruption, evidence tampering, and about 17 other crimes across 3 states. Your friend's father died in prison 2 years ago. His protection died with him. That's when I remembered. 5 years ago, Mom had taken a job that required a lot of travel. She said she was doing consulting work. I'd barely seen her. We'd grown distant. She'd been building a federal case. Police vehicles poured into the parking lot. Federal agents emerged, weapons drawn. Trevor, Vaughn, and Diana were on the ground in seconds, hands behind their backs. An older woman in an FBI jacket approached my mom. We got everything. Audio, video, full confession. Beautiful work, Rachel. Mom handed over her phone. The drive he has contains the original videos. Everything's on there. As they led Trevor past us, he spat at my feet. This isn't over. We have lawyers. We have money. We'll be out in a year. The FBI agent smiled. Actually, with federal murder charges, conspiracy, witness intimidation, and about 40 other counts, you're never getting out. Enjoy the rest of your life in a cell. Henley and I stood frozen as the scene unfolded around us. Officers took statements. Crime scene text documented everything. My mom spoke quietly with the FBI agents, handing over files and drives. Finally, she walked back to us. She looked exhausted, older than I'd ever seen her. I'm sorry, she said to me, for the lies, for the distance, for everything. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. I know you're angry. You have every right to be, but I had to protect you. If you'd known what I was doing, you let me believe it was an accident. My voice shook. For 13 years, I thought Ethan died because he was drunk and stupid. I blamed him. I was angry at him for leaving us. I know. Mom's eyes were wet. I'm so sorry. Did Dad know? She shook her head. No one knew. Not even your father. I couldn't risk it. After he and I divorced, it actually made things easier. I could disappear for weeks at a time without raising suspicion. My parents had divorced 8 years ago. I thought it was because of the grief from losing Ethan. Turns out it was because Mom was secretly building a federal case against his murderers. Henley finally found her voice. What about me? Why drag me into this? Mom turned to her. Because you deserve to know the truth about Brooke, and because Trevor was obsessed with you. He'd been monitoring you for years, making sure you stayed quiet. I needed him to think you were still a threat so he'd show his hand. The envelope pact was perfect. I knew he'd be watching, knew he'd panic if he thought you two were finally going to reveal what you knew. But I didn't know anything, Henley said. He didn't know that. And when you got that note last month, I knew he'd taken the bait. I felt sick. You sent her that note? You've been the one threatening her? I had to make it believable. I'm sorry, Henley, but I needed Trevor to come out of hiding. He's been in Ecuador for the past 3 years under a fake name. This was the only way to get him back on U.S. soil. An FBI agent approached. Mrs. Chen, we're ready for your full statement. I flinched. Another Mrs. Chen. But my mom shook her head at the agent. It's Ms. Rivera now. I took back my maiden name. The agent nodded and walked away. Mom turned back to us. I know this is a lot to process. Take your time. But I need you both to give statements about what happened here tonight. Everything Trevor said is on record now. What about our envelopes? I held up the papers we'd written 13 years ago. Mom glanced at them. Those were never really the point, were they? But you should probably discuss what they said. In private, after you've processed everything else. She walked toward the FBI vehicles, leaving Henley and me alone under the stars. We sat back down on the picnic table. The parking lot was chaos. Lights, voices, official procedures. But in our little bubble, it was quiet. Your brother didn't die in an accident, Henley said softly. No, he was murdered. By people we knew. The words felt unreal. And your cousin died trying to get justice for him. I should have pushed harder. After that note, I should have. You were scared. They were threatening you. You did what you had to do to survive. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Henley picked up her envelope from where it had fallen. Do you still want to know what mine says? Part of me didn't. My teenage confession felt ridiculous now in the face of everything else. But I nodded. She handed me the paper. I read it twice. I'm in love with you too, and I think you're going to break my heart. The words hit like a physical blow. Henley, I knew, she said quietly. Even back then, I knew how you felt. I felt the same way, but I was terrified. I'd watched my cousin Brooke fall in love with your brother. I knew they were seeing each other, and I knew it would end badly because nothing good ever lasts. You never said anything. Neither did you. She smiled sadly. We were both cowards. So when I wrote that, I loved you. I wrote that I loved you back, and that you were going to break my heart because everyone I loved left eventually. My dad, my mom's various boyfriends, Brooke. I couldn't handle losing you too. So you left first. I didn't have a choice. After Brooke died, after those threats, I ran. I had to. But I thought about you every day for 10 years. Wondered if things would have been different if I'd just been brave enough to tell you the truth. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She was still Henley. Still the girl I'd loved at 17. And had never really stopped loving. But we were different people now. Shaped by trauma and loss and choices we couldn't take back. I got married, she said, 3 years ago. To a man named Colin who's kind and stable and exactly what I thought I needed. My heart sank. Oh, we separated 2 months ago, right around the time I got that note. She laughed without humor. Turns out you can't build a life with someone when you're hiding from your past. Who knew? I'm sorry. Don't be. It wasn't fair to him. I was never really there, emotionally. I was always looking over my shoulder, waiting for the other shoe to drop. An FBI agent approached. We need your statements now. If you'll follow me. We spent the next 3 hours being interviewed separately. I told them everything Trevor had said, every detail I could remember. They recorded it, took notes, asked questions. By the time they finished, the sun was starting to rise. Mom found me sitting on the hood of my car, watching the sky change colors. She sat down beside me without asking. You must hate me, she said. I didn't answer right away. Did I hate her? I was angry, definitely. Hurt that she'd lied for so long, but I also understood why she'd done it. If she'd told me the truth 13 years ago, I would have done something stupid. I would have confronted Trevor or Vaughn or gone to the police with half a story and gotten myself killed. I don't hate you, I finally said, but I don't know if I can forgive you yet either. That's fair. She stared at her hands. I lost one child to them. I couldn't lose another. Even if it meant you hated me forever, at least you'd be alive to hate me. Did Ethan know? About Brooke recording? No. The video shows he was completely unconscious when Vaughn drowned him. He didn't suffer long. Her voice cracked. I've watched that video 1,000 times. Looking for something, anything that might have saved him, but there was nothing. By the time Brooke started recording, it was already too late. Why did she record it? She was supposed to be documenting evidence of the drug deals happening at these parties, one of Vaughn's side businesses. She wanted proof to take to the police, but when Ethan fell, when they decided to kill him instead of calling for help, she kept filming. She knew she had to capture everything, and then they killed her for it. Mom nodded. She was brave. Stupid, but brave. She thought she could take them down alone. didn't realize how deep their connections went. We sat in silence as the sun climbed higher. Other people were starting to leave. Henley was talking to an agent near her car. She caught my eye and waved. "She loves you," Mom said. "She always has." Even I could see it back then. She's married. She's separated. And sometimes life gives you second chances. Don't waste yours being scared. That's rich, coming from someone who spent 13 years lying to everyone she loved. Mom smiled sadly. "I know. Do as I say, not as I do. But seriously, honey, you get one life. Don't spend it wondering what if." She stood up, started to walk away, then turned back. "For what it's worth, Ethan would have wanted you to be happy. He talked about you all the time, about how brave you were, how you never let fear stop you from living. He admired that. Don't let what happened to him make you afraid to live your life." She walked toward the FBI vehicles. I watched her go. This stranger who was my mother. This woman who'd sacrificed everything for revenge disguised as justice. Henley approached as Mom drove away. "You okay?" "I don't think okay is the right word. You?" "Same." She sat beside me on the hood. "They want us both back tomorrow for more questioning. And there'll be a trial. Probably several trials. This is going to consume the next few years of our lives. Great. Love that for us." She laughed, and for a second she was 17 again, young and hopeful and not yet broken by the world. Hey, at least we'll have each other's company during the endless depositions. Silver linings. We sat there as the morning fully arrived. Cars passed on the highway below. Birds started singing. Normal people going about normal lives, unaware that 3 murderers had just been arrested on this overlook. "So," Henley said carefully, "about those envelopes." "Yeah. I meant what I wrote, even now, especially now." I turned to look at her. "You're still married. Technically, the paperwork isn't final, but emotionally, I've been divorced for a year. I just didn't want to admit the marriage was dead. That's a lot to process." "I know, and I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know. After 13 years of running and hiding and lying, I'm done keeping secrets. Life's too short. Your brother's death taught me that. Brooke's death reinforced it. I'm not wasting any more time pretending I don't feel things I absolutely feel." My heart was pounding. "What exactly are you saying?" "I'm saying I loved you when I was 17. I loved you when I was 20 and running away. I loved you when I was 25 and getting married to someone else because I thought you were lost to me forever. And I love you now, at 30, sitting on this stupid overlook where everything started and ended and somehow started again." "Henley, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know. No more secrets. No more running." She slid off the hood. "They told me I'm free to go. I'm staying at the Hampton Inn off exit 47 if you want to talk. Or not talk. Or just exist in the same space for a while." She walked to her car. I watched her go, my mind spinning. Everything I thought I knew about my life had been a lie. My brother's death, my mother's absence, Henley's disappearance. It was all connected to a murder that happened 13 years ago at a party I hadn't even known about. And now I had a choice. I could let the past consume me, spend the next decade angry and bitter and alone, or I could do what Mom said, live my life, take the second chance I'd been given. I slid off the hood and got in my car, started the engine, sat there for a full minute, hands on the wheel, staring at nothing. Then I drove to the Hampton Inn off exit 47. Henley opened her door on the first knock. Her eyes were red like she'd been crying. Hi. We stared at each other. 13 years of history hung between us. Pain and loss and love and missed chances. "I don't know how to do this," I said. "I don't know how to just pick up where we left off. Then we don't. We start new. Right here, right now. It's not that simple." "Why not?" She stepped closer. "Why does it have to be complicated? We're 30 years old. We've been to hell and back. We've watched people we love die. We've lost years to fear and secrets. I'm tired of complicated. I just want simple. I want to wake up next to someone I love and not have to hide it. I want to hold hands in public and not worry about who's watching. I want simple and boring and easy." "I want that too," I admitted. "But I'm terrified. You left once. What if you leave again?" "I won't." "You don't know that." "You're right. I don't. None of us know what's going to happen tomorrow. Trevor could make bail. The trial could fall apart. You could get hit by a bus. Life is uncertain and scary and completely out of our control." She took my hand. "But I know I don't want to waste another 13 years wondering what if. I know I want to try. With you. If you'll let me." I looked down at our joined hands. It felt right. Natural. Like coming home after being lost for too long. "Okay," I said. "Let's try." She pulled me inside and closed the door. We didn't talk much that first day. There was too much to process, too much pain to work through. We just existed together, watching terrible TV and ordering room service and not talking about murder or trials or envelopes. For one day, we pretended we were normal people on a normal vacation, and it was exactly what we both needed. The next morning, reality crashed back. We had to give more statements. The FBI wanted details about everything. Our friendship, the party where Ethan died, our memories of Trevor and Vaughn. It took hours. My mom met us for lunch at a diner near the FBI field office. She looked exhausted, but lighter somehow. Like she'd been carrying a weight for 13 years and finally set it down. "How are you holding up?" she asked me. "I don't know. Still processing." I picked at my sandwich. The agent said the trial might not start for a year. At least. These things take time, but they have solid evidence. The video, the confessions from last night, the financial records. Vaughn's been paying off witnesses for over a decade. They have a paper trail. What happens now? For you? Mom sighed. "I go back to my real life. No more undercover work. No more lies. I'm tired." "Do you feel better now that they're arrested?" She considered the question. "I don't feel good if that's what you're asking. Ethan's still dead. Brooke's still dead. All I've done is make sure the people responsible can't hurt anyone else. That's not the same as healing. That's just justice. And justice doesn't bring anyone back. Henley spoke up. But it matters. What you did matters. You gave Brooke's family closure. You gave your family the truth. That counts for something. Maybe. Mom looked at me. I know I can't make up for the lies. I know I hurt you. But I hope someday you'll understand why I did it. I already understand, I said. I'm still angry about it, but I understand. You were protecting me. You were getting justice for Ethan. I get it. But do you forgive me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Did I forgive her? I'm working on it. Ask me again in a year. She smiled. Fair enough. We finished lunch and went our separate ways. Mom had more FBI meetings. Henley and I drove back to my apartment to face the reality of what happened next. I have to go back to my life eventually, Henley said, as we pulled up to my building. I have a job, an apartment, a divorce to finalize. Where are you living now? Denver. I work in marketing for a tech startup. It's boring, but it pays well. That's only about 3 hours from here. I know. She looked at me. I checked before I came last night. I wanted to see how far you'd moved from our hometown. When I saw you were only 3 hours away, I thought maybe it was fate. Or maybe I'm just reaching for signs that don't exist. Stay, I said suddenly. Not forever. Just for a few days. Let's figure out what this is before you go back to Denver. I can work remotely for a week. Let me call my boss. She stayed 4 days. We went to the police station together for more interviews. We met with the district attorney who was handling the case. We talked to victim services counselors. And in between all the official trauma, we had coffee. We watched movies. We talked about everything and nothing. On the 4th night, we were sitting on my couch, Chinese takeout containers scattered around us, when Henley said, I have to tell you something. My stomach dropped. What? I'm thinking about moving back, to be closer, for the trial and everything. She paused. But also for you, if that's okay. It's okay. It's more than okay. I don't want to rush things. We barely know each other anymore. We're different people than we were at 17. Then let's get to know each other. The new versions. We have time. She smiled. Yeah, we do. 3 weeks later, Henley moved to my city. She got a job at a local marketing firm and found an apartment 2 neighborhoods over. We took it slow. Coffee dates, movie nights, long walks where we talked about everything that had happened and everything we wanted for the future. 2 months after that, the trial date was set. United States versus Trevor Millwood et al. It was going to be massive. Federal murder charges, conspiracy, judicial corruption. The media was going crazy. My mom called me the night before the trial started. Are you ready for this? No. Are you? Not even a little bit. But we do it anyway. The trial lasted 6 weeks. Every day, Henley and I sat in the courtroom and listened to the evidence. We watched the videos of that night at Miller's Lake, saw my brother stumbling, falling, lying unconscious, watched Trevor and Vaughn decide his fate like it was nothing. Brooke's voice came through clear on the audio. We have to call 911. He needs help. Trevor's response. He's seen too much. He knows about the shipments. He's drunk. He won't remember. We can't risk it. Vaughn, do it. And then the sound, splashing, struggle, silent. I couldn't watch that part. Henley held my hand so tight I thought bones might break. The defense tried everything. They claimed the videos were doctored, that Brooke had fabricated everything, that my mom had manipulated evidence. None of it stuck. The FBI's forensic team had verified everything. Phone records, financial transactions, witness testimony from 5 other people who'd been at the party, and finally came forward after Trevor's arrest. On day 38 of the trial, the jury delivered their verdict. Guilty. On all counts. Trevor got life without parole. Vaughn got the same. Diana got 25 years for conspiracy and obstruction of justice. We stood outside the courthouse afterward, reporters shouting questions. My mom made a brief statement about justice for Ethan and Brooke. Then we left, went to a quiet restaurant, and ordered drinks. It's over, Mom said. But it wasn't over. Not really. We still had appeals to worry about. Civil lawsuits from Vaughn's family, media attention, the trauma of having to relive everything again and again. What was over was the secrets, the lies, the running. 6 months after the trial, Henley finalized her divorce. We celebrated quietly at my apartment with wine and takeout. So, she said, curled up next to me on the couch. What now? I don't know. What do normal people do? I think they just live, go to work, pay bills, have relationships, really boring stuff. Sounds perfect. A year after that, we moved in together. Henley's apartment lease was up, and it seemed silly to maintain 2 places when we spent every night together anyway. My mom came to help us move. Things between us were better, but still complicated. I'd forgiven her, mostly. But there was a distance that hadn't been there before. Maybe it would heal with time. Or maybe some things stayed broken, and we just learned to live with the cracks. This is a good place, Mom said, looking around our new apartment. Good light, nice neighborhood. It's close to both our jobs, Henley explained. And the rent's reasonable. Mom pulled me aside while Henley dealt with the movers. Are you happy? Yeah, I think I am. Are you? Getting there. Therapy helps. So does knowing Trevor and Vaughn will die in prison. She smiled sadly. I started dating someone, another FBI agent. He knows everything, the whole story. It's nice to not have to hide. That's good, Mom. Really. Ethan would have liked her, Mom said, nodding toward Henley. He always knew, about how you felt. He asked me once if I thought you'd ever tell her. I said probably not, that you were too afraid of rejection. He said that was stupid, that life's too short to be afraid. My throat tightened. He was right. He usually was. Annoying habit of his. We stood there for a moment, remembering. Then Henley called out that she needed help with a box. And the moment passed. Life went on. We went to work, paid bills, had movie nights and dinner parties. Sometimes we talked about what happened. Sometimes we didn't. The trauma was there, but it didn't define us anymore. 2 years after the trial, on a random Tuesday in October, Henley and I were making dinner when she said, I want to write new envelopes. I looked up from chopping vegetables. What? New envelopes? New secrets. We'll open them on our 40th birthdays this time. Why? Because the old ones were written by kids who didn't know anything about life. I want to write one now, as the person I am today, and see what the 40-year-old version of me thinks about it. That's kind of morbid. Or it's hopeful. Maybe in 10 years we'll read them and laugh about how worried we were about things that turned out fine. I thought about it. Okay. But we write them together this time. No secrets. Deal. We bought 2 new envelopes that weekend, sat at our kitchen table and wrote them in silence. This time, I knew exactly what to write. No hesitation, no fear. When we finished, we sealed them and wrote the date on the outside. August 4th, 2035, 10 years from now. What did you write? Henley asked. Doesn't matter. We'll find out in 10 years. She laughed. You're no fun. You love me anyway. Yeah, I really do. We put the envelopes in our fireproof safe, right next to the old ones, reminders of who we'd been and who we'd become. That night, I had a dream about Ethan. We were at Miller's Lake, but it was summer and bright. He was 17 again, smiling and carefree. You did good, he said. You lived. You loved. You didn't let them win. I miss you, I told him. I know, but you're okay. You're more than okay. You're happy. That's all I ever wanted for you. He started to walk away, toward the water. But this time, he didn't fall, didn't drown. He just walked into the sunlight and disappeared. I woke up crying. Henley held me while I sobbed out 13 years of grief I'd never properly processed. When I finally stopped, she said, tell me about him, about Ethan. Not about how he died, but about how he lived. So I did. I told her about the time he convinced me to skip school and drove us to the beach 3 hours away. About how he'd always taken the blame when I broke something so I wouldn't get in trouble. About his terrible singing voice and his even worse cooking. About the way he'd defended me against bullies and cheered at all my soccer games and told me I could be anything I wanted. I talked until the sun came up, and Henley listened to every word. He sounds like he was amazing, she said when I finished. He was. And he would have loved you. I wish I'd gotten to know him better. I only really saw him at parties and family stuff. He thought you were good for me. Mom told me that. He knew how I felt, and he approved. Henley smiled. Good. I would have hated to have my relationship questioned by my girlfriend's dead brother's ghost. I laughed despite myself. That's so dark. Too soon? Maybe a little, but it was okay. We could laugh about it now. The pain was still there. It would probably always be there, but it didn't consume us anymore. 3 years after the trial, we got a letter from Trevor in prison. Henley found it in our mailbox and brought it inside looking pale. Should we open it? She asked. Probably not. We opened it anyway. Inside was a single page of notebook paper with terrible handwriting. I've had a lot of time to think, it read, about what I did, about the choices I made. I can't take any of it back. I can't bring back Ethan or Brooke. I can't undo the pain I caused. But I want you to know I think about it every day, every single day for the past 3 years. I see their faces. I hear the sounds. And I know I'm going to die in here, and I deserve it. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know that I remember. And I'm sorry. It doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't change anything, but I'm sorry. We read it twice. Then Henley said, what do we do with this? I don't know. Do we write back? Do you want to? She thought about it. No, I don't think I do. I don't care about his guilt or his regret. It doesn't bring anyone back. Mom would say the same thing. Your mom's a smart woman. We threw the letter away. Didn't respond. Didn't acknowledge it. Trevor's guilt was his to carry. We had our own healing to worry about. That summer, we went to Miller's Lake for the first time since the trial. It was weird being back. The overlook looked smaller than I remembered. Less ominous. Just a regular scenic viewing area with picnic tables and a trash can. We sat at the same table where we'd opened our envelopes 5 years earlier. The place where everything had changed. Does it feel different to you? Henley asked. Yeah, less haunted. We've come a long way. We have. We didn't stay long. There were too many memories, too many ghosts. But it felt important to go back, to prove we could, to reclaim the space that had been stolen from us. On the drive home, Henley said, I want to start a foundation for families of murder victims to help them navigate the legal system and the trauma. In Brooke's name. That's a good idea. Will you help me? Always. We spent the next year building the Brooke Henley Foundation. It started small, just us and a few volunteers, offering resources and support. But it grew. Other families reached out. The media covered it. Donations came in. 3 years later, we had a full staff and multiple offices across the state. We'd helped over 200 families navigate the impossible aftermath of losing someone to violence. It didn't bring Brooke or Ethan back, but it meant something. It meant their deaths hadn't been completely meaningless. My mom joined the board of directors. She channeled all her FBI skills into helping families gather evidence and build cases. She was good at it. Better than good. She found a purpose beyond revenge. We were all healing, slowly, imperfectly, but healing nonetheless. On August 4th, 2035, exactly 10 years after we opened the first envelopes, Henley and I went back to the Overlook one last time. We were 40 now, older, grayer, hopefully wiser. We sat at our table with 2 new envelopes in our hands. Ready? Henley asked, as I'll ever be. I opened mine first. Inside, in my handwriting from 10 years ago, was a simple sentence. We made it. We survived. We're happy. Don't forget how hard you fought for this. Tears streamed down my face. I'd written it during the trial, during the darkest period, when I wasn't sure we'd make it through. But we had. We'd survived. We were happy. Henley opened hers next. She read it silently, then showed me. Thank you for choosing to stay, for choosing us, for being brave when I was too afraid to be. I hope we're still together 10 years from now. I hope we're still happy. I hope we never forget how lucky we are to have found each other twice. We held each other and cried, for everything we'd lost, for everything we'd found, for the impossible journey that had brought us here. Should we write new ones? Henley asked eventually. Yeah, for our 50th birthdays, just to see what happens. We bought new envelopes at a gas station on the drive home, sat at our kitchen table and wrote them carefully, thoughtfully. This time I knew exactly what to say. No hesitation, no fear, just hope for the future and gratitude for the present. We sealed them up and put them in the safe next to the others. 4 envelopes now, 4 different versions of us. 2 naive teenagers, 2 traumatized 30-year-olds, 2 hopefully wiser 40-year-olds. And in 10 years, 2 50-year-olds who would read all of it and understand the full arc of our story. That night, I called my mom. How was it? She asked. Opening the envelopes? Hard, good, emotional, all of it. I'm proud of you, both of you. You took the worst thing that ever happened and you turned it into something meaningful. That takes courage. I learned from the best, she laughed. I'm not sure lying to everyone for 13 years is the best role model. You did what you had to do. We all did. And we made it through. Yeah, we did. After we hung up, I found Henley on the couch, reading a book. I sat down next to her and she immediately curled into me without looking up from her page. Hey, I said. Hey yourself. I love you. I love you too. She closed her book and looked at me. Is this one of those serious moment conversations or just a random declaration of affection? Random declaration. I just wanted to say it. Well, I appreciate it. Consider it reciprocated exponentially. We sat there in comfortable silence. Outside, cars passed. Neighbors laughed. Life continued in all its messy, complicated, beautiful ways. And I thought about 17-year-old me, sitting on the hood of my dad's car, making a promise to open an envelope at 30. That girl had no idea what was coming. The loss, the pain, the betrayal, the love. If I could go back and tell her anything, I'd tell her it was worth it. All of it. Every terrible moment led to this. To sitting on a couch at 40 with the woman I'd loved since I was 17, to finding purpose in tragedy, to healing and growing and learning that we're stronger than we ever imagined. I'd tell her to hold on, that it gets better, that the story doesn't end at 30 with a cliffhanger at an overlook, that it continues, that there's love and justice and hope waiting just past the darkest moments. I'd tell her about Henley, about second chances, about envelopes that hold our past and future selves, reminding us of how far we've come. But mostly, I'd tell her what Ethan said in my dream: live, love, don't let them win. And we didn't. We won. Not because Trevor and Vaughn went to prison, not because we got justice, but because we chose to keep living anyway. To build something good from something terrible. To love despite the risk of loss. To open envelopes and face our past and write new futures. That's what winning looks like. Not revenge, not justice, just life. Messy, complicated, beautiful life. What are you thinking about? Henley asked, noticing my expression. Everything. Nothing. Just grateful. Me too. She went back to her book. I went back to watching her read, to existing in this moment, to appreciating the quiet after years of chaos. And I thought about the envelope I'd just written for my 50-year-old self, about what I'd said. It was simple. Just one line. You made it. Again. You're still here, still fighting, still loving. Keep going. The best is yet to come. I hoped it was true. I hoped in 10 years, when we opened those envelopes again, we'd be even happier, even more healed, even more grateful for the journey. But even if we weren't, even if life threw more chaos our way, I knew we'd face it together. Me and Henley, partners in surviving, partners in living, and that was enough. That was everything.